Alrighty, we might get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Movie Magic Show for Wednesday, the 7th of April, 2021. I am one of your hosts, Shane Bailey, joined by my wickedly talented cast. To my right, the TV show hating, film filleting, vinyl collating, Mr. Movies, Ben Stapleton.
Good evening, Shane.
How are you, Ben?
Good to hear you and see you.
It's been a while, yeah. I had to miss the other week. Then I think we missed another week. I can't remember. It's been so long. To his right, the dulcet tones in your headphones here to engineer a sincere atmosphere, Terry Fear.
Good evening, everyone. Hello,
Terry,
boys.
you are in a new house.
I am, and it's my own house. I mean, I share it with my wife.
And the bank has a pretty
well, actually,
as well.
It's kind of like the bank lets us live here as long as we keep paying them rent. Yeah.
That is amazing news, my friend. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it since you moved, so I hope it's all gone swimmingly for you.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the house isn't perfect, but we didn't build it ourselves. We bought it kind of ready-made, and it had been tenanted and stuff. So yeah, we're finding things that are like, oh, that's all right. But yeah,
we're here now.
It's good. Yeah, nice. We're glad to be here.
And glad to have you here on tonight's episode. For those tuning in, this is the Movie Magic Show every Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. No longer daylight savings. We chuckleheads get together to like, love, bash, and trash the latest the entertainment world has to offer. Follow us here, twitch.tv/magic_cast. You can also follow us on Twitter at Movie Magic Show. We'll notify you when we're going live, except for tonight, because I had too many camera issues that I just CBF tweeting. So, but we're glad you're here now to tune in. We've got some fantastic topics to cover, including a new Disney film, Raya. I can't remember how you pronounce her name. Raya.
I can't remember either.
Raya?
I think it's Raya.
Raya?
I didn't watch it.
Raya and the Last Dragon. The latest Walt Disney Animated Studios film. We're also going to talk The Comey Rule, which is a 2-part miniseries on Stan at the moment, I think from Showtime, from memory, starring Jeff Daniels, who we love. Before we get to those topics, though, we want to dive into a couple of our favorite games. One of them being Guess the Quote. We're going to give you 2 movie quotes. You need to try and guess them in Twitch chat before the end of the night. I'm going to throw it to the dulcet tones. Terry.
Alrighty, I want to make sure that I get it absolutely perfect.
Our first quote.
Quote number 1: no inflection. Is it, it's almost a papal purple.
A papal purple? Huh. I don't think I've ever heard those words.
That's a shame, because it's from a really good movie.
Well, purple's a mixture, Ben, of red and blue.
Yes.
Thank you, Terry. And second quote for this evening. No inflection. I know not who you are, nor how I came to find you, but may I just say, hi, how you doing?
I like the quote. It's not really ringing a bell, though.
That's all right. We have...
My bells are as quiet as the first few minutes of this stream.
Anyway, they're going to scroll by in the chat. In the ticker, chat. So if you can guess it, let us know. And the other game we like to play is 6 Degrees of Awesome. This is a game where we name 2 actors. You need to try and link them via other actors they've starred alongside in other movies if that makes any kind of sense. It's been a while.
Lots of ends, yeah.
The films are The Degrees. Ben, give us our 2 subject actors we need to try and link.
I picked Halle Berry and Chris Tucker. Any
particular reason why you went to those 2?
I don't remember. Oh, something in my subconscious brought Halle Berry. There was, a podcast I was listening to today that they mentioned her name. And then I do a 6 degree. Like I think of movies Halle is in, and I pick an actor from that, and then I think of movies that person is in, pick an actor from that until I get to one that I'm happy with. And I went with, when I stopped, I was like, Chris Tucker, there we go. Hopefully there's no shortcut where it's just like they're in the same movie. Chris Tucker's hiding behind the bushes in John Wick 3.
Yeah, he's like one of the bus boys at the hotel.
Anyway, we're going to solve that 6 degrees together at the end of the show, so stick around for that. For the moment, let's get to our first review. I'm going to go with Raya and the Last Dragon, the new Disney animated adventure from the studio that needs no introduction. I'm going to go straight to IMDb and read out the synopsis. It says, in a realm known as Kumandra, a reimagined Earth inhabited by an ancient civilization, a warrior named Raya is determined to find the last dragon. It is directed by Don Hall, Carlos Lopez Estrada, and Paul Briggs. I recognize Don Hall's name. Let's see what else he's done in a directing capacity. He had a hand in Winnie the Pooh in 2011, Big Hero 6 in 2014, and also directed Moana in 2016.
That's why the name rings a bell.
Carlos, on the other hand, from a director's perspective, hasn't had a hand in any Disney animated stuff before, and I'm not recognizing any of his other work, so he might be a new addition to the Disney fold. And if I go to Paul Briggs on IMDb, it tells me from this looks like his sort of directorial debut alongside the others. He was an actor in a couple of the Disney projects as well. Played Marshmallow in Frozen. Don't remember Marshmallow. Yama in Big Hero 6. Anyway, moving on. It is written by, I'm going to butcher these names, Qui Nguyen, Adele Lim, and Paul Briggs. It stars Kelly Marie Tran, who we know from Star Wars fame. She played what's her face that no one liked in the Last Jedi, the 8th one. Yep. Awkwafina, I hope I pronounced that right. She was hilarious in Crazy Rich Asians. That's how I know her.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. And that's probably not her birth name, but it's a very funny name.
Yeah. And Gemma Chan, who also starred in Crazy Rich Asians as I think the sister, one of the sisters that was, or one of the siblings that was being cheated on. She was like quite well off, prim and proper. You'd probably recognize her face if you saw it. Anyway, the IMDb rating, let's see, 7.5 on IMDb, a Metascore of 75, and on the Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh 94%.
Oh my god!
Interesting.
Very high. I think that's
huge.
Yeah, I think that was higher than the last Pixar movie we reviewed. I remember the Pixar movie being around 89, 90, and noting that was low for a Pixar movie traditionally. So this one doing really well. I suppose Terry, you have not seen it, right?
No, I really, really wanted to watch it so that I could contribute thoughts about the movie, but it's not at cinemas that I want to go to, and I resent having to pay
Have you got
extra.
Like a cinema have you got like a evil cinema in your town? Like you said, it's not at the cinemas that you want to go to. Is there one that you don't want to go to?
No. Sorry. Yes. So there's a cinema in town. It only has literally 2 screens. And so they don't do a lot of sessions.
You only need one, Terry.
No. But they don't do a lot of sessions because they have 2 screens. And so I work full time, have been in the middle of move, and so I haven't been able to knuckle down on a time to watch it at the cinema itself. And then Tamworth is an hour and 15-minute drive, and it's not much better as far as cinema quality goes, and it's harder to schedule that kind of time. And I'm I don't want to give Disney Plus more than the subscription money than they're already.
If you watch this on Disney Plus, I would never speak to you again. It's absurd. It's $36 or something.
Yeah. It was I think it was about 30, and when I realized that, I'm I was always gonna go watch this at the cinemas anyway. But expected, I went there, I hadn't eaten yet, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get a small pizza from Hoyt's and my salted caramel choc top because I can't resist. And I don't think I went on a particularly cheap night either. I think it was Monday evening. I went and saw it by myself. And for the movie ticket, the small pizza, which was, decent size, besides my face, and a salted caramel choc top, $30. I was
there you go.
What? I got a big screen and, a cinema that was almost empty, food and the film for the same price.
For the same price.
To watch at home.
What about parking, Shane?
I walked from work, so.
Oh, easy.
But usually after hours, most shopping centers don't charge you for parking after a certain point.
Yeah, I think you can validate your movie ticket for free parking.
Yeah.
Broadway. So, anyway, yeah, that was just a fun little side note about
And see,
Disney Plus Premiere, I think it's called.
Yeah, I would imagine they're kind of banking on households having more than one person that's going to watch it.
That's it.
And so they're like, we want to get our money's worth. The box office is going to pay us like $6 per person out of whatever they get from the ticket sale, and we want to make sure that we're getting most of that from a per person kind of view thing.
You can see even like a couple
still
being able to justify that, right? It's like, well, we could go to the cinemas, but it's going to cost us $20 each, and if we get a drink, whereas we can just stay in and
the food costs in the groceries, but it's nowhere near as good. Like movie popcorn has like the perfect butter to corn ratio.
I don't want to talk about movie popcorn. My local
is your shit, Ben.
It's so bad. It's consistently horrible. It's like unpopped kernels. Like they're trying to kill me.
They're like trying to break your teeth and
try and
put
eat
a choke.
A bucket of popcorn where like a third of the kernels haven't popped in the dark without looking.
Disgusting.
And
that's a booby trap.
It is. It's horrible. I've fallen for the like. I love popcorn. I've bought popcorn from there like 20 times, but twice
Even
I've
though it's
taken.
terrible.
Even though it is terrible every time, I've taken it back, and I've been like, look at this. Like, I want this refunded. I drank the drink. Don't refund the drink. Just give me the money back for this thing, and do better, because it's horrible. It's really bad. Please do better. I want to buy popcorn every time I go to the movies, but making it so hard, Tendy.
You're making it really difficult for me to buy popcorn right now, my dude.
So I'm like Shane. I go for the choc top now, the salted caramel choc top.
Yeah,
always good.
But I would so much rather have a hot bucket of popcorn in my lap.
buttery popcorn. Ugh.
Just hot and salty. I would take that as long as everything is. As long as it's all popped, you know.
Yeah.
As long as
or at
it's all
least the
popped,
vast majority. As long as it's the vast majority, I don't mind like 15, 20 kernels at the bottom of the box.
At the bottom of the box, I'm okay with that as well. But I'm finding stuff at the top and all the way to the bottom. I'm doing some shaking. I'm grabbing a handful. There's like 5 in my hand. 5 unpopped kernels in my hand.
I don't even understand how that's possible. Like,
No, me either.
even like an Aldi popcorn machine. Like,
Then there are the sleeper cells where it's like you pick up what you think is a popcorn and you put it in, and there's a kernel in it that's still unpopped somehow, like half of it. And you get that guy in your molar and you crunch straight in there, and you just you're just spitting this stuff out onto the floor. It's horrible in Corona times. You feel like a plague.
That's a layer of context.
I like this.
Anyway, Ben, the popcorn's not to your taste, but how about
the movie?
Latest serving from Disney?
I have 2 meta reactions to it first. Like when I
love your
look up,
reactions. Let's go.
I look up the cast, I see like 12 Asian faces all along, and Alan Tudyk in the middle with his big fat white face. He played Tuk Tuk, and I had no idea because it's like an animal companion character that has no spoken parts. He just goes "Arr, arr." Things like that.
He played the chicken in Moana as well.
Yeah. Yep.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Is he like trying to
Hey.
make a name for himself as the ridiculous animal companion that doesn't talk?
Probably.
Yeah.
He's just
Or
been
is he-
typecast now. He's just like,
Yeah, he's the guy who like someone's reading the script, like the casting director is reading the script, and it's like, I know who to get for this ridiculous
Yeah, that's
animal
this
character.
Plucky animal companion.
That's it.
The other reaction with the cast is I totally picked Benedict Wong as
well done.
as Tong.
Yeah.
Like when he started talking, I'm like, oh, I know that voice. Where do I know that? And he said like a few more lines. I'm like, that's what's his face? I was talking to Caitlin. I wasn't saying this to myself.
Is Benedict Tong the guy that's from oh goodness,
He's one of
the wizard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on the right track.
Yeah.
the one with the apple, and he's listening to Beyonce or something.
Yeah,
Is
wait,
that-
is his name Wong in that? No.
I think it is.
Iron Man says Wong.
You're invited to my wedding.
I think it's
Yeah.
Wong, yeah.
Yeah, so he plays himself.
I'll double check that, but I think it's right.
So I picked that one, and of course I picked Aquafina because like she's got such a distinct.
It's a very distinct husky kind of voice.
Yes, he does play Wong in Doctor Strange.
Aquafina is like
She's like Chris Tucker.
She's like the unmarried youngest sibling of your aunt, who's like the youngest of the siblings. She's unmarried and she's cool and she is really funny. And you're like, why isn't she married? It's because she's crazy. And but she's also like, she's really nice and she's outgoing and hilarious. I don't know. She might Aquafina in real life. She's probably married. I don't know. I don't look this stuff up. But I'm not trying to say anything bad about her. I'm trying to say something good about her. She was perfect in the role of the crazy, silly, overly outgoing and trusting dragon character. Sisu, yeah. And other than that, what was my other meta reaction? Oh, synopses of movies crack me up lately. Like in the last couple of months, I've just been reading them and going, that's not even close. It's not even close to what the movie is about. I read the one for Die Hard with a Vengeance the other night when I was watching it with Caitlin and her family, and it was like, I just Googled it from Google. This isn't the one I read on Netflix, which was also horrible. But this one says, John McClane must enlist the help of Zeus Carver, a local shop owner, to stop Simon, a former colonel from East Germany, from detonating bombs across New York. Not really. Like, no.
Yeah.
All those things are technically true, but that's not even close to, like, if someone said, have you seen Die Hard with a Vengeance? And I'd be like, yeah, and it's like, how would you describe it? You know, what would the synopsis be? I would not say any of that.
No.
I'd come up with something else. But I remember when you started this segment, Shane, you said the synopsis, and I was like, they spend more time in the synopsis just talking about the fact that there's a world.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I'm just trying to think of like what the equivalent would be for like a really well-known movie. Like I'm trying to manufacture one in my head. It'd be like if The Lion King says, young cub Simba enlists the help of
Timon and
Pumbaa to take down his uncle. I'm like, yeah, but
yeah,
that's not really. It's just like,
the Matrix would be like Mr. I don't know. Okay, a man awakens from a dream and can't use his eyes, and then realizes he's not where he thought he was all along. You know, something stupid like that. It's like, yeah, that kind of does happen, but what the fuck are you talking about?
It's like they're really focusing on the wrong events. Yeah.
Yeah, totally focusing on the wrong things. Speaking of the world, though, the only huge thing I loved about this movie was the world building that they managed to do inside just shy of 2 hours runtime. They have like it's kind of like an Avatar, Last Airbender-y kind of a world. Definitely. It's broken up into different tribes that have very different lifestyles, and also I can't remember the other anime that I love to think about when I think about this movie. It's just completely gone. Anyway, they've broken up the population of the world is like segregated into different tribes that are named after different parts of the dragon. You've got like claw and fang and tail and heart.
Yeah. Head?
Maybe another one. There's another one. I don't know what it is. And I loved all of that. Like when you would like the sequence would start when they're visiting, you know, Talon, and it would like have its own font and it would like zoom into the city, and I'd be like, oh, we're going to a brand new place. I was really excited. Every time it would recycle, do it every time. You would go to Talon, and you would go back to Heart, and it would have the cool, like, the font would raise up and there'd be like a chanty music. And I'd be like, this is great. This is really cool. Like I want there to be a TV show that I won't watch that comes later, you know, that explores gets into it, you know, and explores the world. Or a game, you know, back in the day when you would have the movie come out and then a really bad platformer game would come out. But because you've got the world building there, the game just makes sense, like as an idea. And the other thing that was brilliant about this movie was it looks phenomenal. Like there were some wide shots up in the sky where I was like, that's a photograph right there. It was low light, so it's easy to mistaken for the art direction that they've taken. Where, and also there's no people in the shot because they're not going for realism when it goes to the people that they're animating. It's really big heads and small bodies, and then there's one guy who's just humongous who Benedict Wong plays. He's just like got like arms this big, and he's just a round creature. Other than that, all the locations and the scenery look just like
photoreal.
Yeah, like it's like they built this world and invented a dragon, made a robot dragon fly around, and then they filmed it. It's kind of like when I watch Alien and they do the explosion at the end. It's like ridiculous CG, and I'm like, they had to build a spaceship to explode in space to get that shot because it's so like they couldn't do it in computers. It's so realistic. Like I'm being completely facetious when I do that because it looks so ridiculous. But I'm running out of things to say, Shane, because plot wise, acting wise, it's a family friendly Disney, not really there for me kind of a movie. Like there's not a lot of adult friendly humor, not adult humor, but adult tolerable stuff to grab onto, like Pixar always does. I remember walking out and going like, didn't need to see it, but I'm glad I did because it has a lot in it that I like to think about. The world stuff is stuff that you go, right, yeah, you just go back there, just go back there and visit for a second.
Yeah, I completely agree about the world building. Like, hey mum, thanks for joining us. Hey Jace, I didn't see your message there, man. Hope you're well.
He's probably long gone.
I was going to
ask you about the baby, the ninja.
Oh, right.
The ninja baby character.
Yeah, I just want to touch on the world building. I think you absolutely nailed it with the Avatar Last Airbender comparison because I love the societal differences that you see between the different regions of Kumandra, right? Like you said, with Fang and Heart and Tail and whatnot. It really reminded me of the Earth Kingdom of Ba Sing Se in Avatar. It's completely different culturally to the Water Tribe or the Fine Nation. It was, I love that. And my first thought was, and off the back of the awesome action, which we'll get into, I'm like, give me a third-person action game in this world. This is so cool. And I mean, I've been screaming from the rooftops for a great Legend of Korra Avatar, the Last Airbender game as well.
It'd clean up.
Like, Sucker Punch, who do Infamous or Ghost of Tsushima recently. I think they do a fantastic job with that, with either IP, either those Nickelodeon IP or this one here. It felt so rich. I think the biggest compliment I can give this movie is the world building. It really felt as though Raya was journeying from these different regions in Kumandra, and there was noticeable differences in the way that I'm forgetting the name of the final. Was it Fang? The final
Fang.
The final region. The way that they protect themselves from the evil Droon. I almost forgot. These evil spirits that are attacking the land. And they're intolerable to water, so they've sort of created a moat around their island that's well protected, and they're prospering because of that, but at the expense of everyone else in Kumandra as well. So they're kind of hoarding the riches and protecting themselves and only looking out for oneself in that way. So some like cool themes in that way that they just briefly touched upon. They don't really dive too deep into it, and it really is mostly about trust, I would say, being the biggest theme in the film. But I suppose just to bring it back into an overall general review, I think that Disney, like Walt Disney Studios specifically, ever since Tangled and Frozen, have been on such a roll. Tangled, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Moana, Zootopia, that they've kind of been knocking it out of the park. When they come out with like a 7 out of 10 movie like this one, it's like, oh yeah, I guess this one's fine. Whereas I look back on the last decade and I think to myself, holy shit, they're knocking it out of the park to the same level that Pixar was during their heyday. So I think they've sort of they haven't lived up to their own or the expectations that we have of them because of how great they've been over the past decade.
But what do you think of the main theme there, Shane, as well? it's not even trust. It's like blind faith and trust, despite evidence to the contrary, kind of thing. Like, it was really turn the other cheek. To the point where I was like, I'm not a. I didn't believe in it. Like, I was like, no, she. I forgot the name, the main girl again. Oh, Raya. I was like, okay, so Raya has been hurt before. It's like the movie starts off and she trusts this girl, and then the girl stabs her in the back, literally kicks her in the back, um, and and breaks like the sacred artifact that her and her dad are sworn to protect, and now she's trusted this girl from another tribe, and so she's like, I'm never going to trust another person like that again. And I'm like, good start. I mean, like, there is maybe some exceptions to the rule, but that's a good rule to start with. Like, given what's happened, like, that girl kicked you in the back, broke the entire world. So yeah, yeah, earned. And then not only is it like, no, you should trust others. The theme is like, no, you should trust her. Like the same girl who kicked you, stabbed you in the back, and said that she'll do it again, and does it a second time. You know, all the. There's no reason to trust this person with the fate of your future. But that's like what you have to get to like save the day, kind of that's the theme that we're going for here. Like, just come together, trust one another to work towards what we can probably agree is a common goal. But the problem is nobody is sitting down and having the discussion that we acknowledge the common goal in the first place. They're just kind of going, we'll get there. It'll be fine. And
would you say that that's kind of it sounds like that's a bit of an allegory for like Western culture at the moment? Like, a lot of people are like, why can't we all get along? But it's like nobody trusts each other. There's a lot of division. So maybe the movie's kind of addressing that in some way.
I believe that's kind of what it's doing. Like the underlying premise of the trusting is to like just start with the belief that people are good people. People are good deep down inside. They're driven to do bad things for the wrong reasons, or they become mistaken or confused, and they do something that looks like they're slighting you. You just have to see things from their point of view. All of this kind of thing is just baked into the thing. But Sisu, who's the proponent of this this way of living or whatever, has been around for a couple of 100 years, or whatever they said. I think it was 500 years, yeah. And doesn't explain all of that. Like, people are really good on the inside. You have to just, empathize with them, put yourself in their shoes, think about what they're trying to do and accomplish, and trust them and all that kind of stuff. She doesn't say any of that. She's just like, fine. Just go with it. Let's bring them a present. She's just like, let's be really open and inviting and put all our cards out on the table, and they'll reciprocate. And then Raya's like, no, that is not what's going to happen. You do not know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah. Like, the whole time I'm just like, no. Sisu is crazy. Just push her down. Like, don't trust Sisu. But I'm wrong this whole time. It's the way you've got to do it, I guess. So I did have leaving it. I was like, I don't know. I'm not sold on this trust thing. That kind of like, it's to the degree that someone would come up and just be like, hey, can I borrow your car for a sec? I'll bring it right back. And you're just like, sure, stranger, here you go. That kind of thing. That's what these two would do. And on the other hand, I would go like, no. Like, I'd be like, no. Like straight away, no.
It makes me think, like, when I had the one wheel and I was zipping around to and from work, occasionally I'd pass youths, like youngsters, and a couple of them asked, like, oh, dude, like, do you reckon I can have a quick go? And I'm like, this thing can go faster than I can run, so no.
Right.
In the same way that I wouldn't let you borrow my car because I have no way of chasing you if you decide to go rogue. Not to say that you would, and not to say that you'd do something stupid, but it's like, if you were to decide to do that, I have no way of preventing it from happening. And so I don't want to give up that much power in over something that is quite dear to me or is quite expensive or valuable to to that kind of circumstance.
Oh, it's different, like if they're youths on bikes or whatever, and they're just like, hey, hold my bike for a second, I'm going to scoot around on this.
Yeah.
But
And obviously, it's like if it's a friend, it's fine as well. Like there's random child from the town that I live in that I've never met before, and if I give this, may never see again.
They're just like, bro, can I have a go, man?
Yeah, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I think what I like about it is the discussion, right? It is the is shining a spotlight on our own world and the differences that we have between cultures, and the fact that we might, certain groups might treat other certain groups a different way based on the fact that that's just the way it's been for this many years or decades or centuries. So yeah, I just implicitly like the theme of
right,
shining on that and saying, because Raya's father was all about just like
that's
this
her
happened
dad
hundreds of years ago, and we're still suffering the repercussions of it. There is nothing stopping us from all coming together and saying, no, this is not who we are. We can all be better. Let's be better together. And it's going to take us extending the hand first to get us there. We've seen it in our own Australian history as well, right? With Aboriginal people and Sorry Day and that sort of thing. Like I see similarities there. It's just like, we need to reconcile and recognize that there's a better path forward. Let's just all agree to it. I sort of liked that it was kind of, at least in my mind, sort of going in that direction.
I actually like your take on that part of it. Like, Raya's dad, he's a pro. He knows to challenge bad tradition in this case. It's like, the only reason we're doing it this way is because it's the way it's done.
Yep.
And because no one has challenged the ideas. Really thought...
Not because it works.
Yeah.
No
one living today is, directly responsible for the way things are right now. But we all have the power to change that. So why don't we come together and let's start a discussion? Like, I think, I see so many similarities in today's world.
Her dad was doing it the right way. He was like, in one hand, he was saying like, I'm going to take the first step. I'm going to make myself a little bit vulnerable here in order to build a bridge to my neighbors. But at the same time, he's like, I'm going to defend myself if I have to, but making some sort of middle ground between those two things.
Yeah, that's it. Extend the olive branch, right? It's it doesn't mean you're gonna throw away your swords and just like I'm naked now and completely vulnerable. Like, it's
without spoiling anything for you, Terry, or the listeners at home. And believe me, I'm not actually spoiling what does happen. But the movie starts and it's like dad and daughter, and he's telling her about the culture of protecting the gem and protecting their ancestry with the dragon and all that kind of stuff. And they're like really happy, and they're preparing a meal, and there's no problem between that relationship. Immediately, every movie that happens, I'm like, I give that dad 5 minutes. He's gone.
Yes.
He's dead.
Yeah.
in like the next 5 minutes of runtime, his goose is cooked. If there's no twist like this, there's no tension, there's no tribulation. It doesn't look like there's any problem in that relationship. Well, that is the problem.
Have you guys seen the it's on Netflix, the Scorpion Mortal Kombat animated movie? I highly recommend it. It's very good. And it kind of similar to what you're talking about, Ben, but instead of it being about the parent, it's about the child. It's like the dad, which is Scorpion, is teaching the kids some moral lessons about why the scorpion is the symbol of their clan. He's like, let's get home quick, otherwise your mum's gonna rouse on us for being late for dinner. And I'm like, oh, she dared. And I'm like, either you or your kid is gonna die also very, very soon.
It's every movie where the action hero starts like, oh, I'll be home soon, hon, and it's like, I love you, I love you too. It's like, she is so dead. Like, they're gonna kill her twice. She's
nice
so...
those things weren't so predictable. I just wish, oh man, like, This very like so many similarities to the Lion King, right? Like, sort of parent training child, teaching them the lessons that's going to protect them later on in life. Basically saying like, this is what you'll need to do, you know, when you grow up, when I'm not here.
They may as well be saying that, and then also like just looking at like an hourglass with the sand is just like pouring down, and they're like, "We better get to the next lesson real quick."
Running out of time.
Yeah, you see that dark spot over there? Don't go there to the dark place. Everywhere
it's also not a new trope. Like I think it was an Elvis movie. Richard and I were watching. It's some type of random speedboat movie from like the early '60s, and there's this young like peppy guy who's going to drive the boat in this race, and he's like, I just found out my wife's pregnant, I've got some extra shifts at work, I'm now a like star boat pilot, what could go wrong? I've got a lot to live for. And so Richard and I would just consistently joke now when there's like this optimistic person going to a semi-risky thing, and I'm like, we just kind of knowingly like, he's got a lot to live for. and so like, yeah. So it's been around for a long time, that particular trope. It's tried and true.
Yeah. To get to some other positives of the movie, to my early point as well, when we were talking about, you know, the comparisons to video games, the action in this is fantastic. The choreography is top notch. I was like thrilled every time there was an action set piece. I'm like, yes, we're going to see the most badass swordplay. Her dad had like this really cool sword chain weapon that would like, you know, like be a sword, but then like break, like unlink apart to be like this chain he could like whip people with. Oh, it was so good.
It was like a grappling hook at times, and yeah, that was a really cool weapon.
Well, yeah, she uses it later on as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then like Sisu is like, while they're journeying to collect the pieces of this orb, every time she comes in contact with it, she's like inheriting these powers from her like ancestry, like her, you know, dragon family that have gone. It's like, oh, this was my brother's power, now I have the power of fog, for instance. Very video gaming, you know, leveling up, that sort of thing, unlocking powers. I thought that was really cool too.
I kept noticing that all the people, like when you would meet another person that joins the entourage and comes along for the journey or whatever, they're all commiserating and sharing in their collective loss, like, oh, I've lost family too, and you know, I'm the last one left, and all this kind of stuff. No one gives a fuck about like Sisu and the fact that she lost her whole family, and she keeps bringing it up. It's like, this is my dead brother's power. You know, she's like, oh great, now I have the power of the fog. That's my, you know, my dead relative, you know, before, and everyone's just like, who's hungry, you know? I was like, oh, that's too bad, Sisu. You know, no one is commiserating with the poor dragon. They're all just like, yeah, my wife and kid, they're gone, you know, kind of thing.
I will say, like, yeah, on the entourage that you mentioned, Ben, I think the characters that come along for the ride, for the most part, they're pretty good. I would still describe them hit and miss in most parts. I'm trying to think of the name of the young boy who does the cooking. Boone, I think. He was hilarious. Some fantastic one-liners that I wish I could remember off the top of my head. But yeah, I was cracking up like by myself in the cinema. I had a couple of his lines. I was really tickled by his comedy.
There's this place they go, Terry, which is like a thieves' den. Like it's just everywhere. It's like all dark and people are in pockets and there's assassins and all that kind of stuff. And the Raya gets duped by these monkeys and a baby. So there's like a baby in the alleyway just like crying on its back, and she's like, help the baby. And then the while she's being distracted, the monkeys are like picking a pocket or whatever like that, and she's like, hey, you give me that orb back. And then the baby like drop kicks her in the throat and then and like, gives her like the fingers, just like and the baby are just like all like scurrying across the city as she's chasing him and stuff. And then there's like some slow-mo of like the baby like flying through there and just like being all like that. Not doing really the fingers, but like she's just doing like this grin, you know, glance there, and it's so funny.
I like it.
Because like babies can't walk.
Let alone
it doesn't make any sense. This is like a ninja baby. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I really like
there is one moment that I enjoyed, like speaking to sort of Sisu's ignorance and just, you know, not understanding the new world that she now occupies 500 years later. She doesn't understand all these new social norms, and so I think it's Raya who Sisu's like, it's like, wow. Oh, firstly, she gets the minor spoiler, but she gets the ability to like shapeshift, so she become human to like blend in with the crowds. And they arrive at one of the new regions, and they're trying to find this certain piece of the orb. And Raya's like, okay, lay low. And she's like, well, I want to go do some shopping, but I don't have any money. And she's like, well, you can just like, someone says like, you can just put it on credit. She's like, what's credit? It's just like, you just pay for it later. So she literally just goes around all these stores like, I'll be paying with that. I'll be paying with credit, and just grabs it off the storekeepers and just like walks along. This is on credit. Yeah, I found that really, really quite fun. Other than that, yeah, I think just to my original point, like it's just, it was good, but it just wasn't that amazing. Like I'm not gonna rattle off. When I rattle off the best, you know, Walt Disney Studio films of the last couple of years, that's not one that's going to jump to the top. But I still think there's so much to like from a world building and action perspective here that, I had so much fun watching this.
Oh, it also passed my gambit that I laid down on you, Shane, that no one said the word adventure in the first 10 minutes. So I continue to watch. Yeah, I was just flabbergasted with that other one. What was the one with the brothers and the...
Onward.
The D&D one. Yeah. I was just beside myself with shock when it was just like, there once was a world full of adventure, and I'm just like, what the you know, it's like how there's no better opening line to make me hate a movie immediately than Onward's opening line, and then it redeems itself by the end. But it really kicks you in the face when it starts off.
I'll also say that Awkwafina, just like after Crazy Rich Asians and now this, oh man, I find her hilarious. And I've just got one quote here from the movie. Susu says, "Also, you broke the gem, Raya, but I still have a big chunk of it though. Sisu, is that supposed to make me feel better? If you lost a puppy," and I said, "Well, we still have a big chunk of it. Would that make you feel better?" But yeah, say that in Awkwafina's voice, and you understand why that's really funny. Yeah. Anyway, that is Raya and the Last Dragon. Any final thoughts, Ben?
I just keep. You've obviously seen, or maybe not. Have you guys seen like the voice recording sessions of like Toy Story, of like Tom Hanks in the booth like yelling at Buzz or whatever? Yeah. It is insane how much energy you've got to put out to be Woody, you know? He's standing there in the booth and he's like giving it, he's going way out there. He's just like, like he's really going for it. And the whole time I was listening to Awkwafina, I'm like, she is going up like even further than these guys. She's got like a 210%. I can't imagine what it looks like to watch her give her performance. She's like this little person giving this humongous performance. I just kept thinking about that, which is unfortunate. Right. The way that I want to watch movies, I don't want to think about, oh, how'd they get that shot? Oh, how'd they do that? I am constantly saying it in movies. I'm constantly, against my best wishes of myself, saying like, that looked like an impossible stunt. That was a really impressive stunt that we just watched. And then I go, I didn't want to be this guy. Like, I just want to sit there and enjoy the movie. I didn't want to see the lens that these. Like, I definitely don't want to do that. I don't want to know anything about lenses,
screw that,
or mics, or lighting. I do not want to know a thing about any of that because I do not want to think about movies in that way. But yeah, I do the stunts a lot, and ever since I started watching those Corridor guys that Jason
Corridor crew, yeah, I like them too.
I've stopped watching them because I've been like, I can see how they cut that up, and I can see how they would composite that shot, and I can see what the Corridor guys would say about this shot, you know, shit like that. I don't really meta think about that stuff when I'm watching a cool CGI thing.
Yeah, multiple watches later, right? I think it's cool, but yeah, I don't want to be taken out of the experience of just being in the cinema. But sometimes I feel like it's on the movie that like they're going for that, like they want you to notice, right, that this was an impossible stunt. Yeah. Tom Cruise hanging off the side of an airplane, just like, oh well, that must have been really dangerous. I wonder what the insurance policy was like, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's a better stunt, isn't it? Because you could do that on a green screen and no one thinks about it. But because there was like news coverage of that stunt actually happening and they planned it for months or whatever, and then everyone Like that's the one where you're watching it with your dad, and he'll lean over and go, sorry, Shane, and he'll lean over and go like, he actually did, like as if you don't know it, and you're like, yeah, thanks. I don't want to be that guy when it comes to those kind of things, but there are ones that like Children for Men or Children
of Men
or Gravity, where you're like, this is the same, like this is one take.
Yeah, and you can't help but think about it, right?
Yeah, that's great when you lean over and go, has one take? And it's like, yeah, I think it's one go so far. Yeah, I love those kind of ones where it's evolving as part of the thing instead of like, oh, this is that sequence where I read about this, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Anyway, Raya and the Last Dragon, it's out in cinemas now. You can also watch it on Disney Premiere Plus, whatever you call it. If you
I might actually get to see it this weekend.
Disney more money, but they don't need it, so please don't.
Yeah. They don't need it.
The Disney theme parks have been closed an awful long time, and
yeah,
they've been losing lots of millions of dollars.
Yep.
Every day.
I'm sure they're still selling cars, bed quilts though.
Yeah.
To keep afloat, let's say. Anyway, before we go into the next film, maybe why don't we play a little movie act to go?
I like
this.
Just
a little round
good.
Or two.
Yeah.
This should be nice and quick. I might start. The movie act to go is the game we play where we need to try and stump one another by jumping from movie to actor. I might start with, let's say, Tom Cruise, and Ben might say a movie that Tom Cruise stars in, like Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. And then, Terry might jump in and say, an actor that stars in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation that's not Tom Cruise is Simon Pegg. Then I have to name a Simon Pegg movie.
That's exactly who I would have said. That's who I would have said.
Anyway, so I might start, and we'll kick it off with Kelly Marie Tran.
Who to?
Oh, Ben.
Oh.
Right, yeah, sorry.
Who?
The main actor that played Raya.
What else is she in? I don't know. Oh,
details.
Yeah. The Last Jedi.
There you go.
Okay, The Last Jedi. Oscar Isaac.
Oh, Oscar Isaac is in Ex Machina.
Donald Gleason is in that movie.
Donald Gleason is in. He's in Dread.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
He's the IT guy, right?
He is, with the freaky eyes.
Yeah.
He tweaking. Yeah.
So it's with you, Shane.
Oh, did you? What'd you say?
Dread.
Oh, so I think yes. Yep. I completely blanked.
I'm like, we're just sitting here in this nice,
you said Dread,
comfortable
I'm like, I wonder
silence.
what Ben's gonna say. What's exactly what gonna say? Dread, Carl Urban.
Oh boy. Carl Urban is in Doom.
He is in Doom.
I'm not sure I've seen Doom actually.
It's a great movie.
Is it though?
It's a great, terrible movie. It's not. Yeah, I like it. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in Doom.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in Moana.
You're welcome.
What can you say?
What's his name? Clement. Jeremy? What's his name?
Oh, you're so close.
Jerome?
Oh, even closer.
Jerome. There's an S in there, right? It's like a...
No, it's Jermaine.
Jermaine! Yes, Jermaine Clement. I don't know how to pronounce any of it. Or even what it was.
He is in that movie. He's also in a movie directed by Taika Waititi. And I can't remember if it's Eagle vs. Shark or Shark vs. Eagle, but it's one of those two.
I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah.
It's fantastically awkward and funny.
Is it before Hunt for the Wilder People?
I have no idea. I don't know when it was made in his.
Oh, can I inject?
I thought about the doing it that way. I don't think you can interject when there's three people still in.
Just put a little thing here. That's something I did yesterday. I went to the movies and I saw the Godzilla and Kong movie. I hated it. But the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People is in it.
Nice. And he's also in Deadpool too.
Yeah, he's in Deadpool too. But he's really good in it, actually. So I really hope he keeps getting work because he deserves it. He's really funny.
Yeah. I like him as an actor as well. He's in the Lynx commercials. He's very funny in that as well. In those commercials.
I was just thinking about
that.
Maybe a Subway, but no, Lynx. Yeah.
If anybody listening hasn't seen Hunt for the Wilder People, just
I need to watch it. It's on the list.
Do it right after this. Okay, everyone. no one I'm talking to has heard of it or has seen it. Sorry.
I've heard of it. I just haven't seen it.
So you've said shark and something, tail and...
It's shark versus eagle or eagle versus shark. Or yeah.
Well, maybe Taika Waititi starred in it also?
He did.
Oh, thank God.
Nice. Jojo Rabbit.
Well, shit. I haven't seen it.
Hail me. Just one hail.
I don't know anyone else who's in it because I haven't seen it. It's on my watch later list.
There are some names, Terry. There are some names.
You know what? I went out of there thinking that I didn't like it because I laughed too much. I was like, I was numb by the humor. I
shouldn't have said that it was directed by Taika Waititi. Because I knew I'd stump you with the movie. Except that I said who directed it. Some bitch. Let's go with who else is in it?
Can you
I read about it.
Amanda Seyfried.
Ooh.
Damn.
A very beautiful blonde though. That's not Amanda Seyfried. Scarlett Johansson.
Sam Rockwell.
Oh, I knew Scarlett Johansson was in it. Because someone said something about it.
Stephen Merchant.
Sam Rockwell, did you say?
Sam Rockwell.
Yes.
Oh, bloody hell! It's going from my watch later to my watch now list.
Yes.
It's the next movie I watch.
Do that. Do. Ben, you knocked out Terry. It's to me, sir. From you, movie actor, go.
Let's Chiwetel Ejiofor. I got to learn how to pronounce his name because I want to say it a lot more than I do.
Yes.
Because of the pronunciation factor.
Chiwetel is in 12 Years a Slave.
So is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict
Cumberbatch
is in August Osage County.
Was that the one with Meryl Streep? I'm going to say it was.
Yes, you're right. Meryl Streep is in Devil Wears Prada.
I knew you were going to say Devil Wears Prada. Stanley Tucci.
The Tooch is in The Terminal.
Yeah, he is.
Fun fact, I know I've said this a million times, but I'm still really proud of it. I guessed Stanley Tucci from the back of his head when I watched it for the first time.
You did.
It was pretty amazing.
I was there, I think. Yeah, I had to pause it. Because, you see the monitors, he's monitoring
the CCTV room, yeah.
Yeah, in the CCTV room, and you're like, is that Stanley Tucci? I had to pause it. I had to shout at you or something. I was just like, how did you do that, Shane? A similar story. I watched Die Hard with a Vengeance, as I mentioned earlier on in the episode. Caitlin is like it's annoying. She'll figure out the ending, or what the thing, like he's the killer or whatever.
Yeah.
And like the most recent example that she keeps bringing up, how smart she is we watched Dark Knight Rises, and she's like, that's not a boy, that's a girl. So I think that it was her that was in the pit and not because we're being inferred that it was what's his face, Bane, that grew up and escaped, but it's the girl, and so I reckon it's her. She's the bad guy, and I was like, anyway, she gets it from her mum because we watched Die Hard with a Vengeance, and I swear, like 5 minutes before the Ansco marching song plays and the plot literally thickens. That doesn't literally thicken, but figuratively thickens. metaphorically thickens. Sorry, before you learn that it's all about the gold heist, she literally just guesses it because who says it? Someone, hang on. Oh, when they do the the water jug trick, and then they see these kids shoplifting, and he like grabs, hey, what are you doing? You're gonna go to juvenile hall for Butterfingers? And he goes, look around, the cops are all into something. You could steal City Hall. And then he's just like that, straight away. Caitlin's mum is like, she just goes, it's a heist. And then she's like, oh, they said Fort Knox earlier. It's a gold heist. Like, I'm just like, you're not supposed to be smarter than John McClane. You're supposed to let him figure it out. Then you go, wow, John McClane's so smart or whatever, But she's just like, she gets it right away.
He's a scrappy a go-getter. He's a scrappy go-getter. Let him go get it.
I can't remember if that was the moment, because I think that moment actually happens way after you learn that they're there to steal the gold. I can't remember what the moment was where she goes, hang on a second. There's a heist afoot. They're going to steal all the gold in the Reserve Bank. And I'm like, there's been no hints. No one has said that. What do you I couldn't even, like, what I usually try and do is just play it cool. It's just like, I don't know. like we'll have to just wait and see, like that kind of thing. But I was just like, no, you're not allowed to know this.
Oh boy. What we're up to? Did we start or?
You said Stanley Tucci.
I've got to guess.
I said the terminal. That's right.
Yeah. That's not Stanley Tucci. Yeah.
You said Stanley Tucci.
No, you said Ben said Stanley Tucci. You said terminal. It's now with Ben. Somebody else from the terminal, and I'm going to interject with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh, anyway, I like it. Entrapment.
Sean Connery.
I always go with Entrapment. Dr. No.
One of the ones. I like it.
Yeah, you've got me here. I don't remember Dr. No. I'm not sure I've even watched Dr. No.
I don't think I have.
I don't know which old Bond movies I've watched.
I think it's the first one. I think I have seen it. I haven't seen Thunder.
Couldn't tell you what any of them are about.
There's Thunderball and Dr. No. One of them's the first one.
I know. I watched the one that went to the moon. Was that Moonraker?
Yeah.
It's in the name.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if Moonraker wasn't the one where they went?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. You got me, Ben. Who's in Dr. No? Do we know?
The only person I could think is like Raquel Welch, if she's the Bond girl in that one. I'm not sure if she is.
Well done, Ben. You take the crown this evening.
I hardly ever win. I'm delighted.
Anyway, we'll dive now into our second and final review of the evening. It's The Comey Rule, a two-part TV miniseries currently airing on Stan, or available to stream on Stan for those Australians who might be joining us or are interested. I hope you're interested. Listen to this synopsis. Jeff Daniels and Brendan Gleeson star as former FBI Director James Comey and President Donald J. Trump in this limited series of the story of two powerful men whose strikingly different ethics and loyalties put them on a collision course. The showrunner is Billy Ray, who also wrote Captain Phillips 2013 and The Hunger Games in 2012. Let's see if there's anything else of note that I can spot. He also did the screenplay for State of Play, which I watched for the first time not too long ago. I actually quite enjoyed it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was
you guys
surprised.
Seen State of Play? I loved it.
Yeah. I did.
It's crazy. What, Russell Crowe, you got Helen Mirren, you got Rachel McAdams, Jason Bateman. It's a good one. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Anyway, stars Jeff Daniels, like I said. We also have Holly Hunter, who we all know and love as Mrs. Incredible herself, Elastigirl. We also have Jonathan Banks, who many people will recognize from Breaking Bad. Michael Kelly, who many people would know from House of Cards. Scrolling down and just seeing if there was any other notable names. I think we covered them all off. Anyway, IMDb rating 7.4. Not showing a Metacritic score here, but to my shock, 68% on Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty low.
I'm probably not as surprised.
Yeah. Okay.
By that.
Well, Terry, I'm going to go to you since you were silent through our first review. What did you think, sir, of the Comey Rule?
I really enjoyed the first night. it is a mini series. It's a 2-part, night 1,
90
night
minutes
2.
each episode.
Yeah, I couldn't actually get through the second part because I probably had my finger on the political pulse in America while all of this stuff was unfolding. It was kind of my hobby during the 2015 primaries, and essentially going through that whole election process and trying to consume as much information about it as I could to be as informed as I possibly could, because I thought it was pretty important, especially because of the just 8 years earlier with the global financial crisis. I was kind of concerned about the ramifications of a heated political climate in America. And so the Comey rule is essentially a really well-written propaganda piece from my perspective. It does its absolute best to kind of handpick certain details and news clips from that time period to paint circumstances in a particular light, and it really heavily leans on details that have, since they were originally aired, have kind of been debunked. And I find that a little problematic because unfortunately people are really lazy, and so they will kind of take something like this and lean on it for their own opinions about the events that happened. They're like, oh wow, it was based on a true story, so it's got to have unfolded the way that this is presenting it. They're like, not to say that everyone is that stupid, but a lot of people are so ignorant that they wouldn't recognize this as essentially meant to be an entertaining interpretation that also kind of favors a particular political lean. And so I couldn't I couldn't keep watching. I got maybe halfway through the second episode, and I'm like, I get what they're trying to do. I can see where it's going. The acting is phenomenal. Like when I saw the back of Trump in the first time that they kind of talk about it, I'm like, holy crap, did they actually just like take screen time? Like, did they take footage of the back of Trump? Like, Gleason does a really good job of capturing the posture, and the makeup team did a really great job with the hair and stuff like that. I did find it really weird because I really like Mr. Gleason, and I did not think he would be able to pull off the Trumpism voice very well, but he does a really good job of it. A really surprisingly good job.
There was one moment in the second episode where he's doing a press conference. I'm like, is this
he's nailing
part
it
now just a pre-record, like an actual press conference that he's just mouthing over? Because
have they dubbed
like
it?
Trump.
Is he lip syncing this press conference?
Just that scene in particular, I'm like, okay, it was great before, but now it's a 10 out of 10. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I've got a lot of positives to say about it. Like, even though I don't, my political views don't line up with the Democratic Party in America. I'm not American, so it doesn't matter. But I tend to be a little bit more on the conservative side of politics. Just leave people alone. Don't let people hurt each other, but leave them alone. It's kind of the political stance that I would kind of agree with. But I love the way that this is shot, the way that they very seamlessly splice in the characters, these people that actually exist but are being portrayed on screen, the way that they're interacting with the media that they're consuming, the way that watching TV, the way they're talking about conversations they're having at school. All of these things are done in a really slick way. Like, it's put together really, really well. I think that they've done a really good job of having the narrative that they're kind of wanting to push and presenting it in a really kind of palatable and enjoyable format. I didn't think that I probably wouldn't have picked Jeff Daniels to play Comey, but seeing him play Comey, I'm like, he's done a really good job. Because I think that I do agree, Comey got a rough deal. Like, in the whole thing, he was put in a really impossible set of situations, and he did the best that he absolutely could, and he got raked over the coals by everyone because he was a man of principle. And I think that that's unfortunate. He was trying his best to not be political or be politicized, and people were like, you have no choice but be a political figure. And he's like, I don't, like, just let me do my job. and I think that Jeff Daniels does a really good job of that. I love this little thing that consistently comes out. Like, he gives people a lot of space to have like elevator pitch conversations, and then he'll say like, keep talking, or is it keep talking?
Tell me
Say more.
Say more. That's it. He's like, say more. And I'm like, that's great. It's like, he gives people enough rope to give him information, and if they're concise but also compelling enough, he gives them more space and says, say more.
It's like a perfect catchphrase that means two things. Like, I'm the boss, and this is an instruction to you, but also good work so far. You know, like you've peaked.
Yeah, you've passed the first threshold of this conversation.
Like, I couldn't say that.
I'm liking what you're telling me. Tell me more.
Like, if one of you guys said like, "Oh, I saw this great movie. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's like this," I would feel silly if I just said, "Say more."
When he first said it, I was like, "Wait, did he just say to them to say more?" Like, rather than go on.
The first guy that does it is the Michael Kelly guy, right? Or no, he becomes the deputy.
Yeah.
The guy who's the original deputy. He's getting briefed before he briefs Comey, and he does the same thing. He's like, "Say more," and then he gets all the details.
That's
he
how
goes
it establishes this is a chain of command thing, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I just think that a lot of what goes on,
and I was just like, that's brilliant writing. I don't even know if that's how it.
Yeah, I don't like. I would love it.
Isn't.
That's actually something that goes on behind the walls of the FBI. Behind
so much with 2 words, you're doing so much work.
Yeah, it really does. I like the way that you've broken down that particular term. It's because it does. It establishes this authority. There was something else that I liked. So he's now the FBI director under Obama, and he's like who's the outgoing president before the 2016 election, and he's just like in the canteen. He's at the mess hall and or the commissary, whatever you want to call it, and people are like, "Oh, I know who that is. I'm going to get out of the way." He's like, "No. Like, I can wait. Like, my time isn't so important." Like, or I'm so short on time that I must cut the line, just go. But then he asks people, what drew you here? Like, what drew you to the bureau? And it's like, it's such a deep question, and it's almost like,
what's your greatest fear? You know, it's like, you know,
it's like this really,
this, you know,
it's like it's asking a really important question about the people who are a part of this mechanism that he's kind of at the helm of, and it I don't know, it made me think of Russell Crowe in Master and Commander, who he does a really good job of managing the crew that are under him. He doesn't ask them these deep philosophical questions. He keeps the crewmen at the appropriate distance to him in that status difference. But like, I don't know, it just made me think of it because of the good leadership that it kind of demonstrated. I did find it funny that he asked the lady that's in front of him, and then some rando guy who she's holding the place for joins, and he asks him the exact same question that he just asked her. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit cookie cutter, isn't it? But like, he means it. He actually is interested. And I think it was after, this is in night 2. He's in the elevator. He's just had a briefing with Trump. And there's a marshal or a security person who's in the elevator with him, and he's like, "Oh, how's your daughter's recital?" Like,
that's his number one. That's his security guy.
Yeah, so he'd be a Secret Service guy, or something, the equivalent to that. And he's like, he's got his finger on the pulse of that dude's family life, and I just think that that's great. It's a really nice little piece of character building or character representation that they kind of have, and I hope that stuff's legit. I hope that people aren't just like, oh, he's a salty, he does this, like he learns everybody's first names and their dog's names too, like, even though he doesn't. Like, I hope that he actually does those things. So yeah, I enjoyed most of what I watched. I just couldn't keep watching.
Mr. Movies, what do you think of these two 90-minute movies smushed together?
how good's Holly Hunter? Like,
She's great. I love Holly
with the,
Hunter.
such a great accent. It doesn't even matter what she's saying as long as she's saying it. Probably, I bet
Hi,
that
man.
some.
I'm just gonna murder your family. She's like, oh, Holly, yes, go
Okay,
on.
Holly.
Same Holly.
I'm flexible. Uh, she's brilliant. I thought Michael Kelly was great, but unfortunately, he seems really typecast.
Yes.
It's like he's that guy, you know.
He's
That's all.
the number two.
Number two, the loyal dog who will do anything for you, kind of thing. He's really smart and he's wearing a suit and he's in that role. That's just him. But again, like to a T, nailed his role. I love Jeff Daniels' pick. I didn't at all really love the Gleason Trump pick. I was like, I didn't like. I'm the opposite of Caitlin. I do not think 5 minutes ahead. So when it's revealed like that Trump is coming into the next, like into the second episode or whatever, I'm like, oh no, I hope they didn't actually cast someone as Donald Trump. And then like he appears and I was just like, oh no, you can't. Like he did a fine job, but I was just like, oh no. The whole way of just about the idea of casting someone to be that crazy. I loved the humor of the second episode when it's the Trump years. I love the humor that they pull out of the concept of one of the most powerful men in the world being terrified, like probed to his core principles so easily, and like his worst nightmare coming true over and over again. I love that, how they just go straight to it. They built it up for the first whole 90 minutes about he sits down with Obama. That was another one. I was like, oh, you can't make a facsimile of Obama. And this black guy trying the Obama cadence of talking and just passable, but that was another one.
I think it's such recent history as well, right? Like if we're a decade removed from the Trump administration, and Brendan Gleeson steps in the exact same way that he's just done. I think, having not had, Trump fresh in our minds every day for the last however many years, you'd think it's like, oh yeah, he nailed Trump. Yeah.
I kind of hoped that they would. You guys know who Key and Peele are, the comedy duo. They have a really good set of bits where one of them plays Obama and the other one plays the anger translator for Obama. Like, it became so popular that they actually, at one of Obama's presses, he had the anger translator there. It was hilarious. But I don't remember which of the two, I think it is Peele, does a great Obama impression. I would have loved to have seen him do it because he nails the speech pattern. Like, really, really, it's spooky.
It would take all the seriousness out of the show if you got the comedy aspect.
Yeah, that's
like
probably fair.
Getting Alec Baldwin to do Trump.
I also would have liked that too. I think that would have been funny. But yeah, it's trying to be taken quite seriously. So you're right.
There was this one thing that kept reminding me of like House of Cards, which was like one of the core investigative, the lawyer, the woman who was part of his internal team doing the Clinton email investigation and then onward with the Trump investigation that they did in the second episode. Anyway, she just kept having these exposition scenes where they're just like talking about what's happening with one of her colleagues or whatever, and they're getting dressed after having sex or whatever, and it doesn't go anywhere. Like with the relationship part of it, like in House of Cards, it's like they're driving the fact that they're sleeping together is a narrative, and they're driving that. But this one, it was just like, we just have to show you a half-naked person to wake you up because they're talking politics and it's really boring. I mean, I don't know why they did that. They didn't need that.
I thought that's because they were not because they're not a part of the same team. Are they?
No, I don't think. It was like she's FBI. He's like part of the I don't know. Where was he?
I'm pretty sure he was a part of. I thought he was a part of the Justice Department.
Yeah, it was like a different
I
organization of
swear
some
he's
sort.
part of the FBI team that's going through the
Was
I
he?
mean, you might be right, but I thought that was a part of the because I thought the reason that they were sleeping together and having conversations with one another, they were having conversations that were not like. Comey was like, we need to have a clear separation between these things. He's like, I don't want there to be even the appearance that there's been a coordination between me and the AG, the Attorney General. And he's got someone under him that's sleeping with someone from the same department as the AG in the Justice Department.
Yeah, so I thought that was going to lead to some sort of thing because
No, but the existence of that relationship and the fact that they're having these conversations, that's a problem.
But it didn't have. Nothing came of it. Like that's a Chekhov's gun that never went off. They
Sure.
just have 10 conversations in hotel rooms and nothing.
But
Really?
except that they're meant to be exposition. They're meant to be you getting information that's from the halls of both sides. I don't know if they actually were sleeping with each other, but I'm like, aren't they from separate departments? I'm pretty sure they're not supposed to be having those conversations with one another. Like Comey's like, I can't talk to you about these things to his wife.
Yeah, Shane might be right. I'm not sure who's right, but I was just like, we don't need this.
I think that was just like another seed planted in the sense that when Michael Kelly's character takes over as deputy director, that the outgoing deputy director says, this girl's a problem. She creates trouble where there is none. You need to rein her in.
Yeah.
That was just
and
like
then calls him a dummy.
Another reason of like, okay, yeah, there's reason to be like, not suspicious, but just wary of this character.
Other than that, there was this thing I didn't love. It happened on both sides. There was like every Republican that they put in the show was just a total militant moron, like dialed to 11 with stupidity and anger. And to the point where like guys would be like regular Joes would be walking past Comey. It's like, you really stuck it to that Clinton bitch. Good job, Comey. And like fist bump and walk away. It's just like, oh fuck my life, kind of thing. And then on the other side, women would be walking by and like just stop and just go like, I'm for Hillary, and walk off.
Go
like,
Hillary.
Go Hillary. And then walk off. I found that hilarious. And I also found hilarious like the whole parts where they're doing the election thing and people are starting to realize that Trump's going to win and like women are crying and I love that stuff because it tickles me how much that stuff upset people. I don't care at all. I'm not politically affiliated. I don't give a shit about it either way, to be honest with you. But I love that other people do and they get so upset about it. So when the obvious Democrats in the FBI were just like crying at their desks, I found that really funny. I was chuckling at that one.
Yeah.
I really did also chuckle at just how I totally believe all the conversations that Comey and Trump are having, these one-on-one conversations, which the Chekhov's gun way at the start of this whole thing, when he's interviewing for the job with Obama, and Obama says, look, we can't fraternize. You and I have to keep arm's length.
Yeah.
You and I can't be friends because you might have to investigate someone in my office or me for something that we do. And we cannot be seen to have a relationship at all. That's anything but purely professional. And he's like,
I look forward to not having a close
yeah,
relationship.
I look forward to not having, yeah, exactly. And so that is planted in like day one. And then it's just nothing but like private calls from the president saying like, hey, you'll look after me with this issue, won't you? And like, won't you come to have dinner? And he's like, just you and me? He's like terrified. It's like, it's just the two of us. And they sit down and and the shit that falls out of that Trump's mouth, I totally believe is like, would be verbatim what he would have said. And I loved like just how ridiculous it was hearing it, I loved all of that too. I was chuckling at the whole thing. And just how many times he's saying, how many different times he's saying, like, I can't do this with you. Like, we can't have these conversations. And it just like goes straight over his head. And he's just like, so yeah, it would be great if you could stop investigating me for this thing, or like whatever. I'm just like, this is so hilarious that this is even on a show, let alone like
possibly happened.
Possibly in reality. Is so ridiculous.
Yeah,
I loved it.
I think on my thoughts, I'll jump back to your point, Terry, that you mentioned at the very start, and that was just like the palatability of it all. Similar way to the newsroom. I like that I come out of this having some, greater understanding of just the, I would never say like the historical accuracy of it, but just like basic understanding of the way that the FBI works in with respect to the AG and that sort of thing, and the FBI director can't have a close relationship with the president because he has XY reasons. I really enjoyed just being thrown into a world that I'm completely devoid of any knowledge of, and just stepping out and saying, "Oh wow, okay, that's cool. I didn't know that this person had this role and this is how this worked." And it reminds me of that episode of the Newsroom, I think season 2, where I'm pretty sure Mackenzie commissions the red team, right? Like to go off and say, your job is to disprove this story, essentially, like pick it apart. What have we missed? And that's a term that's probably used in investigative journalism and that sort of thing that I now understand and know.
Right.
Which
should be used.
Right. Yes, should be used. I enjoyed that part of it. I like Jeff Daniels cast as Comey. I'm not familiar with the man himself, so I don't know how accurate he was. But I think if you want to cast someone who intrinsically for most people can't be disliked, Jeff Daniels, you could do much worse than Jeff Daniels. So I think it's a good fit, and I like Gleason as as Trump. To my point earlier, there was that press conference and I'm like, holy shit, is this a recording that he's just mouthed over? It was scarily accurate. And Ben, you mentioned that point earlier about just like so easily pushing his buttons. My favorite moment of that, and I think it happens in the second episode as well, is where Trump's just like, there's like 3 staffers on his administration that mentions the fact that have you seen the Oval Office? The president has a great eye for interior design. There's like 3 people who say it like in the space of 10 minutes. And then the second you enter the Oval Office for the first time as the viewer, Trump's just admiring what he's done with the place. And I think Comey points out, is like, those were Clinton's curtains, weren't they? Trump's just like fuming already.
And they have a conversation, and at the end of the conversation, he goes, "Those aren't the same curtains."
Those aren't the same curtains. Just like it's been boiling in the back of his mind that whole time.
It makes me think of the line. I don't know who the actor is. Someone I've seen in other roles, and I can't think of them now. But it's before Comey has the face-to-face with Trump, and he says, "It's important that you understand this before you go in. Trump can take a beating, but he can't take a punch."
Ah, yes. This is the guy who played the gay senator on the Newsroom, who Jeff Daniels
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah, and he's like pushing, and Mackenzie's trying to rein him in.
Yeah. Stop hitting him.
That same actor. Stop hitting the dude.
Stop hitting him,
And so I love the line because I like, even though politically I'm conservative, I don't particularly like Trump. He's an asshat. He's a bloviating asshat.
Damon. He's also in La La Land, I think.
I really felt for him in that Newsroom episode. I was like, man, that guy.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fantastic episode.
Brutal.
Such a
but I think that's a really, if you were to describe Trump in a shorter period of time, or at least an aspect of Trump, that's 100% it. Can take an absolute beating. I mean, throughout the primaries, people were talking about the fact that you can't wrestle with Trump in the mud because he's a pig. He just enjoys it. Like it doesn't matter. But he has a really fragile ego. Like if you hit him somewhere where he's sensitive, he just can't help himself. He has to react to it. And it's very, very likely the reason, because people saw him as petty. I'm convinced that the reason he didn't get a second term is because he could not rein in his ego. Which, yeah, it's a fatal flaw in his personality.
Yeah,
is that he's a child when it comes to being insulted in certain ways. You just can't handle it.
Yeah,
I love how he just makes shit up. How he fires Comey, and then he's just talking to someone, and he's just like, everyone's saying that it was a great thing that when I fired Comey. Like everyone in the FBI is just so happy about it, and they all love me at the FBI, and they all voted for me too. Did you vote for me? And he's just like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like that was like 3 different halves of a conversation all put together, and none of it had any grounding in reality from what I could tell at all. It was just so fun to bask in the glory of the nothing speak that comes out of his face. It's so funny.
Yeah, look, overall, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the thrilling nature of it all. You know, I liked the sense of danger that Comey found himself, you know, sort of slowly sliding into, and all the pressures from all the different directions, like just as a character, I found Comey's journey through, you know, these years fascinating. And yeah, I admire his integrity, and even in the face of, you know, being challenged by his own family as well, which I thought was particularly unfair. But I like
the stuff his wife was putting him through.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, and yeah, like to your point, Terry, it's just like he's, you know, a sort of a man that's in a position that he doesn't want to be, but he finds himself there, and he's just doing the best he can. And unfortunately, you know, at the time, you know, history saw him very, very poorly. So, yeah, no, and you know, someone who's, you know, cursorily sort of, you know, across the political landscape, I remember hearing or seeing the headlines and just hearing the sound bites of just like, yeah, Comey this, Comey that, Clinton's emails,
yeah,
like, you know, this man is the reason why Trump's elected, blah 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 blah. So yeah,
I like that the show addressed some of that, because I think it was one of the other people, like, never mind that she ran a garbage campaign. Like it certainly didn't help that the fact that she was, if not criminally negligent, she was negligent in the discharge of her job and in the conducting of her job. Never mind that she ran a terrible campaign. I love that they recognized that was an underlying factor. Like, a lot of people that were never Trumpers were like, I'm just not going to vote. Like, I'm not voting this time because I can't palate either of these candidates. Like, I hate both of them, and I hope both of them spontaneously combust and we get an alternative. But that's not likely to happen, and didn't.
That whole part of the show reminded me of The Report. Have you guys seen The Report? It's a movie that Amazon commissioned. So it's like, you know, it's like the Netflix movies, but it's for Amazon.
Amazon original or something, yeah.
Yeah, an Amazon original. I think that's what they call it. And it's got, why did I just forget his name just now? Adam Driver. Thank you.
Yes.
Adam Driver, and it's all about an investigation into the torturing of terrorist detainees or whatever.
In Abu Ghraib?
In Guantanamo.
Oh, in Guantanamo. Okay.
And, you know, associated programs.
Yeah.
And it starts like the meaty gist that I get from it is like, no one wants to know the detail that he needs to get out. Like there's this whole thing in the movie about actually getting permission to publish what he's accumulated and all this kind of thing, and it being like 3,000 pages long or whatever as well is a big problem. But it always just comes down to me like, no, like if anybody objectively just looked at the detail, there'd be no issue. But because nobody wants to do that, it becomes a political bipartisan problem. And the same with all the political stuff that he's just getting trapped with, like the impeachment stuff that he did afterwards and the Clinton investigation that he did. if either side was to actually go into the weeds a little bit and realize what they found, like they didn't find any criminal, like any reason to support a criminal charge and X, Y, and Z findings, there would be no problem. But because nobody wanted to do that, everyone just wanted to go crooked Hillary or whatever, and use it to get the answer that they already know in their hearts is the right answer. Oh, this must be, fuel for my fire or whatever. That whole thing.
Yeah, you're kind of tapping into the confirmation bias. Like they want a reason to like beat on them. It's just ammunition. It's fuel for the already existing fire.
Yeah, and in the show, like they go over and over it again. How like it's just they're trying so hard to say yes, but it shouldn't matter because nobody's listening after the yes. You know, are you investigating Hillary for all this kind of stuff? Yes, but well, that's all I need to know. Thank you, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd reclaim my time.
Yeah, there's all these mitigating. There's nothing but mitigating factors and mitigating circumstances that, unless you're on Hillary's side, you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think that's probably, it's a really good demonstration of, I think, where we're at as a society here in Australia as well, because we have hot button political and social issues that we don't have good conversations about.
Mum, thanks for tuning in.
Night, Ellen. Like we tend to talk past each other when we have differing points of view. We're not willing to do what Ben's just said. We don't actually listen to the points that someone has, weigh them on their own merits before refuting them, if they can be refuted. Because if you actually weigh someone's points and arguments, you might actually find that there's merit to them, and it changes the way you feel about your own things.
You can't give any ground.
Yeah, people. Well,
because then you're weak and you've conceded.
I don't even think that
you've given ground.
Maybe there's a subconscious element to that, but I don't even think that there's that level of conscious thought. I don't think people are like, I can't back down. I think people are so convinced that they are right, and that being right makes them superior, that they won't listen. They refuse to listen to what anybody else has to say. And when they have a conversation with someone, it's not even a conversation, because there's no space in it for the two participants. You've got two people that are doing their absolute best to fill the room with the volume of their own voice. They don't care what the other person is saying. They're not listening to what the other person is saying. And I think that's something that is a pretty big problem, because you can't, to circle back to Raya, you can't make common ground with someone if you don't understand what they're talking about. If you don't understand, if you don't take the time to walk a mile in someone's shoes and empathize with where they're coming from, you're never going to find common ground with them. You're not going to be able to unite with them. You're not going to be able to get them to understand your point of view, because you just keep seeing them as an adversary and treating them as an adversary. You give them no choice but to be your adversary. And it sucks, because when you try to have a sensible, and this is even people that I'm friends with that are somewhat conservative but are like a little bit crazy, I can't even have conversations with them, because I'm like, yeah, but the mitigating circumstances, you can't have a nuanced conversation with these people, even when you agree on like 80% of the same stuff. That 20% that is this bugbear, this bee under their bonnet, you can't have a rational, sensible conversation with them. And I think that social media is to blame for that. I think people have been given this megaphone. Sorry?
Thanks, social media.
Yeah, well,
podcasts and all that.
I think it's social media and the way that it's been developed. We've got a new toy, and we don't know how to play with it appropriately. Yeah, it's like, I think the way Bo Burnham talks about it is really, really bang on. He's like, the Facebook is the market's response to us saying we want to perform to everyone all of the time for no reason. It's like, we've got a megaphone, but our voices don't matter. I don't matter. I'm a piece of human refuse in the scheme of everybody else's like universe. Nothing hinges around me, you, or any of it. Like I love
of you to say, Terry. That's so
Sorry?
funny.
Oh, right. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I believe that there's like intrinsic value to my soul and like all of those things. But like,
That's not very
no, it's not. But what I'm trying to say is, it is an incredibly arrogant standpoint that a lot of people seem to take, that their thoughts matter to or should matter to absolutely everybody else. And I just like, I believe what I believe, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with what I believe, and I'm not trying to make you follow my footsteps or my path or any of those sorts of things. Like, if you want to have a conversation with me about what I believe, that's fine. I would love to do that. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's nuts. And this is why I don't like to talk about politics. I was worried about this episode.
We're not talking about politics, Terry. You are.
No.
We're talking about the Comey rule, and you're telling us you're going like, here's my sleeve where my heart is.
But because it was something that I followed so closely, having something that's a piece of entertainment that touches so closely to this thing that I followed really closely, I can't help but express it. And I don't mean to. And I try now to avoid having conversations about it. And I have failed this evening in not having a conversation about it, even though I try really hard. Like, I was texting you, Ben, last night, and I was like, the Comey rule, I kind of hate it, but I don't. I've had time to think about it since. There's a lot about it that I like. I typed maybe 3 separate messages that were just not a tirade, but just like this word dump of thoughts that I deleted, because I'm like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this.
Thank you, Terry.
And then you were like, I'm kind of like devil's advocating you. I'm like, I kind of knew that you were. I'm glad that I didn't engage. I'm glad that because it was a relief to.
I don't know what's wrong with me. That's just my natural reaction, no matter what the thing is that I'm hearing. Even if, I probably agree with you. It is to my detriment. I'm trying always to be joking about something.
Yeah.
And the way to joke about someone telling me their opinion about an issue is to immediately oppose it and make fun of the issue. You know, like, attack the issue. I could agree with it. But I haven't thought that far ahead yet. All I can think about is devil's advocating you, or whatever it is. I just want to say I apologize for talking too much about politics. If we've gotten too much into the weeds, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But
next week, The West Wing, everyone.
I like The West Wing. There's some really good stuff.
Anyway, that's the Comey rule. Look at the fantastic discussion that it incited. If you want to partake in the joyous discussion or something similar of the nature, then you can watch it on Stan if you're in Australia. I believe it's on Showtime if you are elsewhere. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up here, gentlemen. We might finish up with a couple of games.
Quotes.
So how about we go to our quotes first? Mr. Fear, do you want to remind the viewers of the quote they need to guess?
I do. It's almost a papal purple. That's the inflection kind of part of it. And then he kind of carries on to say, like, don't tell me. It's
a comedy, yeah?
Yeah, it's a comedic reimagining of an old story.
Okay, let's think about this, Shane. What's a movie where someone is exclaiming about the color of something?
Papal purple.
Do you know what papal means?
Papal's like
Of the Pope.
Yeah, it's like
of the Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have another quote from the same movie. There's my mistress says the pig cannot come in, but the animal will take.
What the hell?
That's throwing me off now.
I do not know. What is that?
No, I've got no idea, Terry.
It's Heath Ledger's Casanova, 2005.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
it's very good. It has Jeremy's Iron.
Ooh.
He
Say more.
plays the Inquisitor who's wearing the papal purple. Heath Ledger is Casanova. Actually, it's got what's her name? She's the girl that gets her cans out a lot in Game of Thrones, but not the Daenerys Targaryen character. Oh goodness, she's the one that ends up marrying Joffrey.
Wasn't Joffrey?
She's in
X-Men?
Suicide Squad.
She's X-Men. Is that who we're thinking of?
Sorry,
The one who plays the young what's her name? Phoenix. No, is that
no. That's
Redhead
the oh goodness. She initially is married to the Baratheon.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. She's in Rush.
She's in Is she in Rush? She's definitely in Suicide Squad. She's the one that has like the spunky. Oh, not Suicide Squad. Freaking Hunger Games. She's the spunky hairdo reporter with the camera crew that follow her in the part two.
Oh yeah.
Part 1 and part 2 of the final Hunger Games movies. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name. Her husband is like a music video person. Son of a bitch, what's her name?
Natalie Dormer.
I was gonna say like it's like Donal, but not. Natalie Dormer.
I had her in my hair. I don't watch Hunger Games.
Yeah,
There's like
so
a
she's
nurse in
in
Rush that like Chris Hemsworth's character hooks up with, I think.
Oh right.
Anyway.
Oh yeah. Yes. That's
There you go, Casanova. I have not seen that.
It's very funny.
Okay.
It's very funny. And actually,
Elijah.
do you guys the movie The Mummy? The Arabic prison guy that has Brendan Fraser's character, and he's like, apparently he had a very good time. That guy's in it as well.
Cool.
He's funny. I always forget his name.
Thank you, Terry. To the second quote now. I'll do it with the info.
Gladiator 2, right? You sold me queer giraffes.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Here we go, with the inflection. I know not who you are, nor how I came to find you, but may I just say, hi. How you doing?
Okay, I'm definitely thinking animated.
Yeah, me too.
Not
just because it's Shane, but it also is because it's Shane.
Is it Mulan?
It's not.
No, I'm thinking maybe Spider-Verse. It's like
not. Here's another one that this will probably give it away. Go, live your dream. I will. Your dream stinks. I was talking to her.
Ooh.
That is more familiar, but I
Have
can't.
I seen this?
You've definitely seen it.
Did you say definitely seen it? Oh. Is it like Epic or something like that? Like
No, it's not
I'm
Epic.
not quoting Epic.
I watched that. It's a good movie.
Epic.
It's quotable.
It's good, yeah.
I'm a slug. No shell over here.
It's Tangled.
Oh, it is.
how do you know that I've definitely seen Tangled?
Here comes the
You'd be an
smoke.
idiot if you haven't. And you're not an
Well,
idiot, Ben.
I did watch it like last year with Kate Winehouse. So, I don't remember that from it. Who says that quote?
Eugene says, or Flynn Rider.
Yeah,
says
Eugene
the
says it
first
too.
quote.
Yeah.
And then, the second quote was one of the ruffians from the Ugly Duck sort of tavern that they visit. And they do the singing song, and then she runs off. He's like, "Go, live your dream." And Flynn Rider's like, "I will. Your dream stinks." I was talking to her.
Yeah.
That quote. Tangled
That's
it
it.
was.
Tangled's
All right, let's
a good
get to our
movie.
6 degrees of awesome. Halle Berry to Chris Tucker, gentlemen.
This
How
has
many
been
degrees
done
have you
hidden.
constructed in, Ben?
I can't even remember.
Okay. Great
Okay.
start.
Chris Tucker is in Fifth Element with Bruce Willis.
Let's see, Rush Hour.
He's also in Rush Hour with Jackie
The animated
Chan.
movies? I'm trying to think of your voices.
Hang on. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, hang on. Boop. 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 3.
Who else is in Fifth Element? Terry, I haven't seen it.
Fifth Element has Gary Oldman.
Oh.
It has I'm forgetting her name. The Russian girl that's in the Resident Evil movies.
Jovovich.
Yeah, Mila Djokovic. Who else is in it? Oh, actually, the you are fired. The Chinese guy. He's in tons of oh, what's his name? Oh no, I'm not allowed to Google it.
It's not Poe's dad, the duck in Kung
Oh.
Fu Panda, right?
Yeah,
He does,
that's the guy I'm thinking of.
hundreds of credits to his name.
Yeah.
Guy who plays Bilbo in the Lord of the Rings. Why can't I remember his name?
Which Lord of the Rings? In The Hobbit or in?
Like
'Cause-
old
In the Lord of the
Bilbo?
Rings. Lord of the
Martin
Rings.
Freeman.
Yeah, so not Martin Freeman.
I said Lord of the Rings on purpose.
Okay.
I'm just saying that the Hobbit movies are called like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, right?
They aren't called that, Terry.
Are they just called The Hobbit?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
nothing in the Hobbit movies that's Lord of the Rings at all.
Okay.
Well, it
So,
does have the
Fifth
ring.
Element, you said Gary Oldman. You said
Yeah, it's Gary
Bruce
Gary
Willis, of
Oldman.
course. Who are we trying to get to? Halle Berry.
Yeah,
Surely Halle Berry and Bruce Willis.
she's in tons
Surely.
of films. She's in Swordfish with Travolta.
Mm.
She's in, but also Hugh Jackman. That's a good movie.
And Don Cheadle.
Yes.
Oh, hang on. I think that's 3 degrees, isn't it? Bruce Willis is in Ocean's 12. With Cheadle.
Yeah, he is.
As
With who?
himself. Bruce Willis plays himself in Ocean's 12, but that's got Don Cheadle.
Okay, and so Chris
Halle Berry. What did we say? Halle Berry. Who's Halle Berry with? Did you say Don Cheadle? Have I just gone?
in Swordfish. No, you haven't.
Oh, yeah.
Chris Tucker, Bruce Willis, Fifth Element. Bruce Willis with Don Cheadle in Ocean's 12. Don Cheadle, Halle Berry in Swordfish.
Yeah, you did it.
What was yours?
That,
Ben?
that wasn't my one. I did. Let me think of it again. Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, obviously. Jackie Chan, Pierce Brosnan in The Foreigner.
Oh,
Pierce
good.
Brosnan, Halle Berry
Yes.
In Tomorrow, not Die Another Day. Die Another Day.
Tomorrow Dies Another Day, Goldeneye.
Yeah. Tomorrow
nice.
dies another golden day.
Yeah, 2 degrees. What else has Halle Berry been? You got the X-Men movies, a lot of people there.
Oh, true. I didn't even think about
hang
that.
on. Oh, hang on.
Patrick Stewart.
Got her and Jackman, and then oh no, wait, I'm just
But
gonna-
you've got her and Jackman in Swordfish as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
think
just
I'm doing 3 degrees again.
onto herself.
I'm trying to get 2, but it's not happening.
You've
I was
got
going to go
Ian
Halle Berry
McKellen.
and Jackman, and Jackman was in oh fuck, no, it's left my head completely. Anyway,
Is Keanu Reeves in anything with that's closer to Chris Tucker?
Jackie
Well,
Chan voices Monkey in Kung Fu Panda. There's some big names there, including Gary Oldman.
True.
Oh no, I've just looped
That's
back to him.
yeah.
if
Chris
you guys
Tucker to Chris
want
Tucker.
if you guys want to go 2 degrees, you have to be thinking of an actor that's
Connecting
in
them.
a movie with both
Yeah.
actors.
That's
Yeah.
it, yeah.
So when you say like, oh, does Hugh Jackman get us any closer? That's not the question you have to be asking. It's like, is Hugh Jackman also in a movie directly with the other person?
Yeah.
Mm.
So Kung Fu Panda, you've got Ian McShane, Angelina Jolie, Dustin Hoffman, Seth Rogen.
Who's in Catwoman?
No, I don't know. I've
yeah,
never seen it.
Catwoman.
Who's in
Who else is in the X-Men movies?
is it
Some big
Gothica?
names.
Isn't that another Halle Berry movie?
That is another movie.
Who's in that?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, who else is in the original X-Men's?
Okay, so you've got so Ian McKellen, Sir Patrick Stewart. You've got the guy that plays
James
Cyclops.
Marsden.
You've got the lady with the funny name that we always forget that plays
What is
Jean
it?
Grey.
Yes. Oh no, it's left my head. I committed it to
Yeah.
memory that one time. Famke
did.
Janssen.
Famke Janssen's.
Isn't Charlize Theron in it? Doesn't she play Mystique? Who plays Mystique?
No, the girl that plays. I'm pretty sure the lady that plays Mystique is the one that also plays the Terminator in Terminator Salvation.
I don't know her name.
Really?
Maybe
I
is
thought
that
it
the third Terminator? The one where she's in the tight red outfit and the
the third
coffin.
Terminator
That's
is called Terminator 3.
Has Halle Berry done anything
Is it?
recently? Like, what's the most recent Halle Berry movie?
John Wick Parabellum, I think it'd be the latest one.
Yes.
Mm.
Oh, yes. Oh,
yeah. So
with Ian McShane.
Oh,
Yeah.
what did you do before with Ian McShane?
Ian McShane is Kung Fu Panda. Oh, with Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan and not
Chris
Chris Tucker.
Fuck.
They've done another 3 degrees. That's
There
cool.
we go.
yeah, that is good.
Congratulations, us.
I love him in Kung Fu Panda. Tai Lung. He plays Tai Lung the Destroyer. He's a panda. You're a panda. Just.
That fight where he first breaks out of prison on the Roper Bridge is
so good.
fucking awesome.
I want to go and watch that again.
One of the greatest action scenes ever.
I
I'm putting it
haven't
out
been.
there. I'm laying it down. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch that. Is that the first one?
Yeah.
That is the first one, yeah.
Yeah,
Tai
I'll
Lung the
watch that
Destroyer.
one.
Brilliant.
That's where he wears the
Yeah. Skadoosh.
douche.
Yeah.
That's just hilarious how he does that and it's just explosion.
Yeah.
Just finished.
But it's a spiritual explosion.
Anyway, I think that'll do it for this week's episode of the Movie Magic Show. Don't forget you can join us here next week, Wednesday, 8:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/magic_cast. Follow us on Twitter as well, at Movie Magic Show. I don't think we have any topics lined up, gents. Did anyone want to throw in a couple of options?
Well, I'm going. I just have just a brief little. Are you going to Matt's thing this weekend? Do you want to maybe do a movie on Saturday during the day?
Maybe.
Because
yeah,
I'll be down there by myself. Jen can't come.
Yeah, I'll tell you what our plans are when I have one.
Cool. If I can't watch a movie with Ben, I'll probably watch Kong, so we can maybe talk about Kong.
You guys can talk about Kong? I'm not going to go watch Kong.
Okay.
I could beat up Kong.
Could you?
No, but I can beat up the movie.
Yeah. Beat the movie.
I'll
Shades
have
from
a think
Sunday.
of the. I'll take a look at what's on the flicks and the stands and see if we can pick out something.
I watched Office Space. We haven't talked about that. It's an older movie.
Oh, is that the one with the meme with the That'd Be Great meme?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I've seen those memes for years, and I never knew what it was
I
from.
haven't seen Office Space. That's the one movie poster with all the post-it notes on the dude, right? He's got the briefcase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Is
one.
that on streaming?
It is. It's on Stan or Disney Plus. It's Stan or Disney Plus.
I'll find it. I'll be on the Star. The Star.
Yeah, under Star.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Darn.
Star. Well, nice.
With your
We'll find some
star.
topics. Don't forget to join us here next week. I want to thank the dulcet tones of Terry Fear.
You're most welcome.
And I want to thank Mr. Movies Ben Stapleton,
Pod blast.
as always. Thank you, dear viewer, for tuning in. We hope to see you next time. Until then,